Well. We're back again for some Sunday action of Liverpool 12th Man Show, and we are joined by Lee currently. We'll also be joined shortly by Brian, and possibly also JK in a little bit, maybe if we're lucky. But for now, it's just the two of us, and hopefully yourself out there um, in the YouTube spaces, because yeah, we're going to be dealing with something that I know that there's not many people in the chat at the current, but this is for the people in the comments. I'll repeat it when people start to filter in, and that is this is not about what players that we have to bring in. This isn't about any of that sort. This isn't about, oh, we got to spend money on this or spend money on that. This is about three areas of our game plan, three areas of our team that we need to improve on. And what I mean by improve on is obviously get better, because we were not that great at that certain aspects of the game this year. So we're going to expand on that. We're also going to obviously have your comments and your inclusion into the conversation. But before we get into the main parts of it all, I'm going to first bring in Lee. I'm also going to hear his takes on the recent score lines of the FA Cup that have just ended up ending. We're going to have a very interesting semifinal. I'm not certain. I'm going to see if the actual draw has already picked out where and who will be playing each other. But yes, next rounds I think are still to be determined. But we have obviously Villa winning today, and we also have City winning today as well. So, Lee, how are you doing today?
Sorry, just having a drink.
No worries. I can't see you. I know you're back to no camera, so I don't know when you're drinking or not.
Yeah, it was a win for City, wasn't it? Villa are still in it. Forest are still in it. What's the other tie? Who's the other one?
Well, Villa won, City won, Forest
and Palace
won.
Palace, that's it. Palace, yeah. Yeah, interesting. Okay. I'm not that, to be honest, I'm not that interested in the FA Cup this year with us being out of it and that. I prefer City not to win it and someone else to get a go, one of the smaller clubs to get a go. But that might not happen now. They might go on and win it, mightn't they?
Right.
We'll see anyway. We'll see. It would have been, I think City would deserve to end up with absolutely nothing, a big fat nothing this season, for all the skullduggery they've been up to. I hope they get some bad luck or something and don't end up winning it. Just so they can have a barren season for once, a totally barren season.
I'd like to see Forest get City next round. That'd be nice. That'd be a good way of figuring out if because Forest has played well against the big clubs, and
I think Palace are a bit of a bogey side for City sometimes, aren't they? So it might be better if we get Palace.
Very much so. Very much so.
The draw is done. They're playing Forest.
All right. Palace will.
Brian, what is the draw? What is the draw then? What is
he has it there. Bonkers has City v Forest. Palace.
Well, he had City Bournemouth originally. That's why I'm asking. So now
sorry, I didn't see that one. Yeah, that's the
okay.
Yeah, City Forest.
Okay.
That's the one you want.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope Nuno manages to knock them out there at Wembley. They are at Wembley, aren't they? The semis still.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that. The semis at Wembley now. I preferred it the old way when it was just the final at Wembley. It's loads of bollocks having the semis at Wembley. I'm not into it. It should be reserved for the final only.
If it wasn't that way, I guess then you'd be forced to play 2 matches then, though.
Yeah.
because you wouldn't want to give one of the teams some type of
Well, it used to be a neutral ground, didn't it? Like,
Yeah.
you'd meet on a neutral ground. We used to get Villa Park a lot, like, for semi-finals in the FA
Yeah.
Cup.
I get the neutral ground, but even neutral grounds can be sometimes, not neutral, considering they could be I'm sure there could be some grounds are easier to get to for a certain. If you're a London club and you're playing in London, but you're not playing at your grounds, but you're playing at London's ground, it's probably a lot easier to get there than it would be for.
It was interesting when it went to Cardiff for a bit, the FA Cup final, when Wembley was being done up, because it was a nice stadium, that in Cardiff. It was a good one there. We won it there, didn't we? Yeah, I mean, I'm just not a fan of the semis being at Wembley as well as the final. I prefer the old-fashioned traditional way of just the final being at Wembley. Don't see why they had to put the semis at Wembley.
What was the whole I guess you could say build up of outrage for this game apparently for City? I didn't see the City game, so I can't speak on it. There's apparently like a handball or something.
Yeah, that's what I heard, but it was Mark Goldbridge, because I was watching his stream and he kept going on about it. He said they will not show it on the replay. They will not show it on the replay. So I don't know, but I've seen Brian put the highlights up and I couldn't see any handball leading up to the goal, but it must have been it further back or something. I don't know. Anyway, it might not have even happened. He might have been bloody seeing things. I did type that in the chat. Are you sure you saw what you saw?
Okay. Did you watch the game, Brian?
No, I wouldn't be watching that. Keeping an eye on they've got a good YouTube FA Cup channel where they, even when the goals are scored, even before the game is over, they'll put up clips so you can watch the goals as they're happening. I just did it that way.
They were without a few players, weren't they, Bournemouth? There was no Kirk, as he was suspended, and another one of the top players was out. One of them anyway, and they haven't got that much, have they, when they're short of a few of their best players? Like, they're not as good, are they? So I did think they might go through when they were 1-0 up. I thought they might be able to hold on, but no.
Okay. They had a chance to go up 1-0. It looks like Erling Haaland missed a penalty. It was saved by their keeper. And then they proceeded to score themselves. Bournemouth did. And then it looks like Haaland and then Marmoush. Now, I guess the goal was – is someone out there solid? You can maybe enlighten some of us, but that's what someone was – I think Lee was speaking on that before we went live today. He's saying how basically there was a handball or something along those lines. So –
yeah, it must have been fairly quick far back. Yeah, I saw like there was plenty of play in it, so it must have been like way back in the midfield or something. You know, it wasn't like a handball and then a pass and a goal. It's like so I say Goldbridge was talking about something further back. But the young lad came on and changed.
Bernardo Silva. I think he was saying Bernardo Silva. It was who handballed it further back. I don't know. He might have been seeing things. The guy, I don't know. I'm just going by what he said because I hadn't seen the pictures. I was listening to it like and was in his stream.
Okay. Bonker says Haaland missed a 1-on-1 before Bournemouth scored. Okay, so
did he put it over the bar? Yeah.
Oh man, Haaland missed he missed something. Missed a goal. Wow. He's absolute rubbish. I guess he must be. And he missed a penalty too.
Yeah,
he missed a penalty kick and he missed a goal. He missed a 1-on-1. Oh man, he might as well just retire. So, I did. You guys see the other matchup then? The Villa handed a 3-0, I guess you could say, somewhat beat down to Preston today. Rashford getting the early goal in that one. And it was certainly got the early goal, then he got the brace later on. He was on a hat trick, but he didn't get the hat trick. Ramsey got the third in that one. But yeah, it was primarily Preston on the back heels for the majority of that game. The only bits and pieces they showed were maybe like one or two little counters in the first half, but the second half was all Villa. Extreme. It was a lot of pressure being put on them, and when the second goal was I think the second goal was a penalty kick too. So a lot of cases where, we have our FA Cup semifinals set. You just told us your preference. I know that we all wish that probably it could just end up as a draw, but is there out of the 4 teams left, who would be the easiest to stomach winning for you? Lee?
I wouldn't mind Forest winning it for Nuno, because I like Nuno as a guy and as a manager. I think he's a good bloke and that. Yeah, it'd be good for Nuno. I'm not asked about the Forest fan base. Maybe Palace, be a good one for Palace.
Mm-hmm. Great armchair supporters there with you.
Don't care so much for Villa winning it, the idea of that, but Palace or Forest would be a nice one.
And Brian, do you have a preference as to how the teams?
Not really. Obviously not City. So I have no ill will towards really Palace or Villa or Forest. Yeah, I suppose it'd be nice for to if Forest knock City out, then I'd say fair play to them. Go on and do it. Villa, I don't really care. Palace, no. Yeah, Forest, I think, would be not so much licking their lips, but they'll fancy themselves against City. I reckon they'll fancy their chances. They've given them, they've given them some problems this year. So
I think so.
Eze is playing very well for Palace. Villa, I suppose. So yeah, I'd probably go with Forest. They got into Europe and got a cup. That'd be good. Yeah, fair play to them.
Fair play. Okay. Okay. What I was going to do, as well as get right into what it is that we were going to talk about today. And again, what we're going to be doing today, now that we have some people in the chat, and welcome to Red Armchair Supporter and Bonkers and all that are joining us. What this is not a case where we're going to say, oh, we need Isak to lead our line, or we need to find a right back that's going to bring about this or that. This isn't about personnel, as in particularly the personnel. It's about three aspects of our team that need to change up. And if you can, it'd be great if you could put them in the top 3, like as in this is the most important, least important, that kind of deal. So that we know what we have to what is your biggest concern. And I'd like to know what are your concerns out there as to what are areas of our team, again, not player specific, but actual areas of how we play that you would like to see improved on in this upcoming campaign that we'll have to embark on next year. being you've seen how the team looks like. I know the team's going to change up a little bit. Maybe some of the things that you're talking about could be a little bit of precursors of why we go for a certain player or why we go for an individual with this particular talent or of the likes. So what it is I'm going to be asking is for you to hear what the ones that I have, hear ones that Brian and Lee have together. And also, if you have something that you want to say or something that you think is a key, whether it's in the bronze, silver, or gold setting, tell us what it is. Tell us what it is. But what we'll start off is I guess like there's been some I guess the one that I would say is important, obviously, for me, for instance. I'll start off just to kind of get you guys into ideas of what the episode is going to be looking like. And that is the one of the things I think that's important for us to improve on is our finishing, obviously, in front of net. Beyond Salah and possibly Cody, we haven't been exactly we haven't been lighting fires with our offensive output. It's not saying that we are suspect in it, but we are certainly at times not necessarily, as a lot of people like to call it, clinical, I guess. When it comes to our forwards, obviously you have Chiesa, you have Darwin Nunez, you have Diego Hata, and you have Luis Diaz, who have struggled significantly when finishing with international duties. Hopefully, they come back with a little bit more oomph in their step. But it is something that we would like to see be improved on.
Yeah, it's more of our big chances.
Right. I think that like if it was going to be a bronze setting, I think we're fortunate to see output from our midfield this year. We've seen output from our midfield, occasional output from even our fullbacks or center halves, but we've seen some increased output from our midfield. So that's cool and that's all well and good. But honestly and obviously, we want to see more out of our front set of players. And that was at least my third or bronze medal placement for attention needed was finishing in the attack. As in, that's what I believe is important. What is there for you? What is something that you look at as being something we need to improve on? If it's something that you see, I'll ask you, Lee.
I think we could improve on our free kicks.
Okay.
We don't score enough from free kicks, like they're put in for someone's header and that. We don't get, I don't know, we don't do that well, do we, with free kicks into the box?
Mm-hmm.
Don't score that many. Maybe we could work on that and improve that. I mean, I sort of got annoyed at like Arsenal and City with that putting someone on the goalie and all that crap and really focusing on corners and that. But if we could get extra goals from free kicks, like different routines, don't change the routines. I love that corner, the short corner we took and scored. The one that come across it was Sabozlai, wasn't it, when we took the short corner?
That was a great, no, that was one of the first, yeah. Well, that's on my list. That's so spoiler alert, that is on my list. But how about for finishing though? For our finishing attack, do you think that's a concern? Do you think that we need to be more clinical, or do you think that we're sufficient?
We need to buy somebody who's clinical, somebody who'll be surgically precise at putting the ball in the net for us. We need to add that. Hopefully Cunha, maybe someone like Cunha could be the man for the job. But yeah, we need to score more of our chances, don't we? Because we waste too many big chances. I mean,
Mhm.
we've had such a great season. It's mad that we're saying this, isn't it? But also the defence as well. We can improve the defence next season, give it better cover. I don't know. The defence can be better. We can definitely improve in all areas next season, I think. Which may seem crazy to say this far ahead of the others, like, but we can, can't we? We can improve in like all areas.
Mhm. Well, what do you think that? How would you get better at the finishing portion of our game? Like, as in, how do we improve that area of the pitch? Do you think it's
Find the
just
right
is do you think
players.
that? Well, I was going to say, do you think it's because of the way that we play, as in maybe it's because we're taking too many shots from outside the box, or maybe it's because we're not really giving enough through balls to players or something along those lines. Is it something as simple as that? Maybe.
I don't know. I just think with different personnel, it'll have a different look, and hopefully we'll get the right people in the summer to add to it. Because if it might be more than one forward, mightn't it? Like that we fine if more than one leave. We just don't know, do we? But I would like the idea of having six still, like we've had, because before this season we'd only ever had 5 attackers at once, hadn't we? That was our maximum. But having 6 this season's been a little bit of a help to have that extra one, and I wouldn't mind that continuing, even if Chiesa was to leave, by somebody we could play on the right sometimes. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we got two options in all the 3 forward positions.
Okay.
Can't hear you 12 properly.
Cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. All right, microphone went out for a second.
Evening anyway, bros.
Evening, Jay.
Lee and Ryan.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. Microphone went out for a second. Yeah, we're just talking about 3 things that can help us. The 3 things that can help us. Like the thumbnail was suggesting. We started off by talking about, like, basically, I think, like, if you would say out of the 3, an important one, but one that we need is certainly improved accuracy in front of the net, whether it's from obviously whoever's going to be in front of the net for us, whether it's Darwin, whether it's Cody, whether it's even Salah, who's occasionally missed a shot or 2 in front of the net. We just need to be more clinical. That was one of the things I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I was saying, like, do you think that there's a way to improve on clinicalness, I guess you could say?
When the pressure's off, I think you become more clinical. I think when the pressure's on, the nervousness of missing actually makes you miss. But when you're like someone like Haaland or a Kane, that you're playing every Saturday and Wednesdays, what happens? That clinicalness comes. Is why you're the guy up top, and with that comes that practice, and with that game practice, they're practicing training and stuff. But they'll have that game practice, and with that game practice comes goals, bro. And I think that clinicalness comes with that. People like Ian Rush and all these type of guys. Ian Rush was probably the first name on the sheet sometimes back in the days, you know what I mean? Along with Kenny and Alan Hansen, for example. But Ian Rush was like, he's the guy who's going to get us the goals. And he got it because he was the number 1 striker for us.
Oh, he's only just shaping the side to his liking now, isn't he? Because he hasn't brought any players in himself, like, so he's using another man's tools, like, isn't he? And
Not bad tools, though, bro.
side. So, yeah, hopefully when he's got more of his own players in, and the team's changed a little bit, we'll become more clinical. Like it's something he'll work on, and he'll hopefully pick the right players that can help us become more clinical. To mix with what we've got. I don't know. It's still coming together for him, isn't it? It's early for Arnie. Hopefully his second season will be even better. Like we'll work on certain things that have been lacking this season.
Okay.
Bodes well for the future, though, doesn't it? Like that we can improve. We all know we can improve. Arnie will know that. Like everyone knows that we can improve for next season. So that's ominous news for our rivals, should we say?
Okay.
We're gonna win the league without having a fully fit, fully consistently playing number 9 all season.
Yeah.
Really look at it.
Okay.
That's the madness about it. Imagine we got a guy.
See, now that could be. I was going to say that could be one of the ways that you do get a little bit maybe improved consistency is that you allow for that player to at least know he's going to get a good run of games. It's something, I'll speak for Nalante despite he's not here, but there's something I know that he's been speaking on quite a bit this season. I've been actually backing him up on that too. Is that we don't really get to see a run of games from players sometimes in the roles when they are hot. For instance, we go back to it's kind of like, oh yeah, he scored the goal, and then we go back to maybe Hata getting that consistency. And in a sense, maybe it could be that's what he's trying to do is trying to get a run of games for Diego. But it's just that could be a factor in. You want to see more consistency, yeah. Get a play where a player is going to get not only maybe a consistent amount of starts, but maybe a couple of full games, a couple of full 90s could actually make a difference in a player's ability to kind of get into the flow and get into the spirit of things. Brian, do you have anything that you'd want to add to that, or maybe a different angle?
Well, I disagree with what because JK is saying that Kenny Dalglish and Ian Rush scored goals because they knew they were playing every week. I don't agree with that. I think it's the other way around. I think they played every week because they scored goals. They were reliable players. That's why they got in the team. And that's why they played consistently. I don't think it was the only reason they scored goals was because they knew they were playing every week. It's part of it. But they played every week because they could reliably score goals. So I'd switch that one around, in my opinion. Those guys played every week, yeah, because they could be relied on to do their jobs. That's how you get into the team. And then they did their jobs. If somebody plays once every 4 games, yeah, they're not going to perform to their best. But if you're a top performer, a top player, you won't be playing once every 4 games. You'll play every week. You'll play most of the games. Whatever people want to get semantic about it, I don't mean every 90 minutes. I mean you'll play. So with clinicalness and all that, I think that's you can teach something. You can learn some things. I don't know. Some guys can do it, some guys can't. So for me, it's my one. Lee kind of talked about it there, and this is it'll all go back to recruitment at the end of the day. But a lot of talk about trust and rotation and people not playing. So and I would change the title as well slightly. I would say top 3 things that we need to change for our club to continue to win silverware, because we're going to win it this year. We're going to win silverware this year. So to continue doing what we're doing, I think if he has the opportunity to bring in 1, 2, 3, 4 players that he trusts and he knows, then I think we will have more chances to see next season players being rested. The rotation, like what brought us down against PSG and against Newcastle. I think if Arne Slot is given, a proper run at a transfer window, and he brings in 2 or 3, there'll be no excuse for him not trusting Endo or not trusting Elliot or not trusting whoever it might be, because it'll be more of his players, if you know what I mean. So that to me will be the main thing, to not to not have to run such a thin squad next year would be one of the my number one things that we could do. And to arrive at a point where we're not running such a thin squad,
Okay.
it would be to him to have say, well, you've got your 2 or 3 guys now, so there's no reason, no excuse or whatever. Say, oh, Simicast isn't his kind of guy, or um, Endo isn't his type of player. If he's had 3 or 4, then he might allow the
Okay.
Gravenberches some time off and like that, and that will definitely help. That will
Yeah,
allow us, I think,
we need that, don't we?
Well,
We
to
need
go
that
on-
next season, like the options.
Well, that's okay. So, just to try to keep on par of how we're going to go about this, like, I get where you're saying. I get definitely what you're saying, because squad rotation and depth management is my second point. We can segue into that, but as being possibly something that needs to be I think that could be possible, truthfully, our number one thing. That could be probably
it is for me.
But squad rotation and depth management is definitely on the list of my things. I wasn't going to go into it next, but since we are there now, and it seems like we can't avoid talking about it, with squad rotation and depth management, like the way you're saying, because I do think it does apply to some of the things that JK was saying. I understand what JK is saying, and I think that I understand what you're saying as well about, they're playing because they're good and the likes. Well, Hata's a good player, and that's why, of course, he could be chosen to be a player that does get starts, but it hasn't been working out necessarily in the most positive results for him, unfortunately. So, like, when you're on a team that has pretty much everyone on the team is a good player, if not exceptional player, the fact that they're not getting the same amount of reliance or backing to be able to go out there and continuously go out and be chosen can be concerning. So therefore, squad rotation, depth management, one of the biggest talking points this season, because let's be honest, Arne Slot's approach to squad rotation has been at question by a few of us. While he's shown tactical discipline and trust in his core starting 11, his core starting 11 being that starting 11 that started the year with primarily, maybe swap in a Cody Hackbo into that. That same amount of inability to kind of sometimes experiment more, or not even experiment, but maybe go outside of the box a little bit, maybe costing the team some freshness and momentum at times, especially in high stakes stretches of this year. We've seen that happen. So you can say certainly for the Caribou Cup final, we saw that, as in we saw our team somewhat just not be on the right page. We saw that in the PSG games, both of them. We saw that at the beginning stages, even against Southampton, who is obviously the worst team in the league. But at one point, that worst team in the league had us trying to play catch up when they brought us down to 1-0. So when key players were out, it was the so-called fringe players like Harvey Elliott. You could even call Curtis Jones occasionally a fringe player. And even the revitalized Federico Chiesa, who stepped up and proved their worth. You could throw in Darwin Nunez into that as well. These performances have sparked a real debate, I think, And that debate being, does Slot have enough trust in the entire squad, or is he over relying on a selective few? And I think that's why we can't get to this stage next year and have to hope that we have had a brilliant start like we did this year. We are fortunate that we had such a brilliant start to this year that we're able to kind of rest on our laurels, despite the fact that things have started to sputter a little bit or haven't been as high flying as they were before. We only have 9 league games left. Obviously, there's still things to play for, but going into next season, we have to do better squad rotation and depth management. And it's just a slight tweak of it, because I'm not going to dispute the fact that I've given praise, and I've also said about the fact that whatever change in the routine that we're doing behind the scenes has at least allowed for us to have a squad, a relatively fit squad to choose from. But if you have a fit squad to choose from, you definitely have to use the rotation to choose of them. Is that too much to ask, or is that something that you think is something that if Slot were to go with the same mentality as he went in with this year, would you be okay with that?
Well, it's going to be changing. I think it's going to be changing, isn't it, in the summer, because there's going to be ins and outs, and it's going to be players that he's probably has a say in bringing in. It's going to be more his team next season, isn't it? More his squad next season. So hopefully, like, that this won't happen again. There seems to be the general consensus among most Reds that we just ran out of gas, didn't we, in that the Paris and Newcastle games. Their legs were empty, weren't they? Really, for Wembley. We don't want that happening again next season, do we?
Oh, okay.
I mean, he could have used Endo more, couldn't he? Could have used Endo and Elliott more.
There were those of us saying that, definitely so. I'm trying to see what's going on in the chat here. He said he likes relying on 14-ish, around 14 players. That doesn't mean he doesn't trust the other players. It's a preference.
Might be able to do that in the Dutch
So what do
league.
you? So I'll ask Red Armchair Supporter that question then, and maybe you can give your own personal insights on that take. Red Armchair Supporter is saying he said he likes relying on 14 players. That doesn't mean he doesn't trust the other players. It's a preference. I don't exactly. I get where you could possibly say it does. Maybe that's just a preference the way he's referencing it. But it does seem like a bit of trust, because even if I have a preference on using 14 players, if I've got players that I trust and know can do the job, then that 14 player reliance would expand to 16, 17, 18, whatever number it is, in my opinion. Do you see elsewise? I'll bring up your comments too. I saw you, Pops and Brian were having a discussion too. But JK, I'll ask you that question first.
Look, the whole season we've all backed Slot, even though I wasn't really happy with him coming, because we didn't know nothing about him. So at the end of the day, his fans have got behind him. And I think in that week where in all the roll call shows, preview shows and stuff, we were all saying that Jota and say Gravenberch shouldn't start. And that was 2 guys, bro. And I think Darwin and say Endo could have come in and done a job. Because for me, Jota was non-existent in both games, so it don't really matter about that one. Same goes for Gravenberch, Szoboszlai. So there's a few names in there that you could have rotated. For me, he should have realised in that PSG game that Gravenberch, Szoboszlai and Jota aren't going to start on Sunday against Newcastle.
Yeah.
And he still did the same mistake.
Right.
Is that stubbornness? Is that common sense, not using common sense. What is that? You know, if like for me,
Mhm.
if your batteries on your Walkman are going, and the sound just sounds like the batteries are
That's
going,
one for
you
the
change them,
kids.
don't you?
I did
Not
have
for the kids.
trust in him that like he
Well,
knew what he was doing and
easy.
he wouldn't wear them out, but he did, didn't he?
Yeah,
I
he
thought-
wore them out, and at the same time, he didn't change them guys he wore out, and that's for me not common sense being used. That's
Right.
up Pops as well, Red Armchair as well, everyone.
Yeah. And that's the JK. Nice. I agree, like completely. It's in, I'll bring up these parts and these points as well. Bring
Yeah.
up this
Just in
real quick.
case anyone doesn't know, a Walkman is a thing that people used to have in the 1980s and 90s, where you would put a cassette tape into it
Mhm.
and you put your headphones on. JK
What,
bringing
Liverpool?
it. JK still got a Walkman, do you?
I
Oh,
love-
did you say a Walkman? I didn't even
Yeah,
catch that.
JK still got his Walkman on the go. He's got his Sony
Wow.
Walkman.
He used
Okay.
to love making mixtapes from me Walkman, like.
There you go. Press and rewind. Pop says he came in and only wanted one player as far as we know. So he should have been able to get a bit more from the players he doesn't quote unquote seem to like. And then let's see. I know that you had a response to that. You said you could play a poorer player every week. Doesn't mean they get better. Players have a ceiling. Some can improve, but some won't. And the response to that was the squad that Mr. Locks, who is Arnie Slot, said he liked this team, which includes the backups. So he should have done better with them, especially in that week we played the Saints, PSG, and the Geordies. I think that's what we're all really getting at, and that's also even more with myself, with the way that I was speaking on it, and the way I think JK was speaking on it too, about giving players a couple of starts or the likes. It's one thing for our coach to say that Endo, he is a heck of a player. Good professional, blah, blah, blah. I love the way his intensity is. I love how he plays, and maybe even so, you've seen the fact that he's quote unquote might trust him a little bit more in that he's getting more of a concerted concerted inclusion in the games. You wouldn't say that in the beginning of the season. There were games that we thought he could have been put in, and he simply wasn't. But it's one thing to say those types of comments, or to say, that he wishes he could play Elliott every game, or the likes, or how it pains him to not be able to get him minutes. There's minutes available. You just don't choose to bring those players in because of your, as Red Armchair supporters put it, your preference. If that's your preference, that's one thing. But it doesn't, just because you have a preference, it doesn't mean it's always the best thing for the club.
But he's a very cautious guy. When you look at the way he starts 90 minutes of a game, very cautious. First gear, second gear, if that. And then second half, he'll put his foot down. That's the way he is as a character. Very cautious. He don't want to be made a fool. He don't want to look like, he don't want to give reasons to fans to point the finger at him. So that's why he always picks the same 11, because he thinks they're the best 11 for his team and they're going to win it. And what happens is that week where he should have sort of vamped it up a bit, Southampton for me was the game that we didn't need to play Gravenberch. We didn't need to play a lot of them guys. We got a
He did
bench
admit
there.
himself, didn't he, that he shouldn't have played started Szoboszlai specifically in that Southampton game. He said that himself, didn't he?
Gravenberch as well. Gravenberch as well.
He said it. He literally said though that Spossa to what he was saying, or what Lee was just saying. He did say that. He said that was one of the first times. He knows that Dom has what he thinks of as being an endless, battery to go on and on and on, like the Energizer Bunny, but he wasn't at it, and he made a mistake. He said he made a mistake about not using Elliott at one point.
Well, it's good to hear him say that, like, thinking out
Not
loud.
really.
Like,
I
telling
really
all
don't.
of us that he knows it. Like, hopefully he'll rectify this next season by not relying on so few players, like, for so long. Hopefully he'll have, players that he'll trust in next season, because it's abundantly clear he doesn't trust in Endo or Elliott to play many minutes in the Premier League. Curtis plays, like, doesn't he? But
Curtis
he's not into
Curtis
Endo,
starts.
is he?
Curtis is a part of that 14, if you want to call it that.
Do you know what? Elliot got loads of minutes under Klopp, didn't he? Like, I do feel sorry for the lad, but where's he going to play? Like, you know what I mean? It's the number 10 or nothing for Elliot. Like, and he hasn't got the physicality, really, has he? I don't think, compared to Stoppers, like, he's a different type of player, isn't he? Like, in that position.
He certainly is, but I think Pops is. I think where Pops is going with this point, but I agree with that completely. If you don't think that Slot recognized or acknowledged that he got it wrong, I think personally, very few teams, unless it's an injury, substitute a player at halftime.
He started the season injured, Harvey. Like, that was crucial.
Oh yeah, no.
But the start of the season, he might have got a bit more of a look in. Maybe, do you know what I mean? If he'd have been available, like, from the beginning of the season when the first teams were being picked.
But no, my point, Lee. My point of what I was bringing up is when we were talking about, and somewhat, I guess, piggyback off. I think what Pops is trying to allude to. Maybe I'm taking liberties, but I think of it as what I would point out is that very few coaches, I think, will sub at halftime unless it's because of injury or because they recognize something that they've gotten wrong. They've gotten something wrong, and they need to make the substitution immediately.
It's taking a weird turn.
So, if you don't want to talk about it, it's cool, Brian. But
I thought we were talking about what we want to do next year. Now we've gone back to he should have played Endo, he should have played Elliott.
It's more so like because of some. I think this is going off of you and Pops' conversation, but more so now, you said that you rate his player evaluation and the likes and the such. I'm like, okay, that's cool. We all do rate his player evaluation or his ability to coach and the likes. But what we are saying is that squad rotation and depth management are important to recognize the fact that this coach has understood that he didn't have to make substitutes at halftime if he had just done depth management and the proper squad rotation. Why would you want to say put Dominic in a game where you now see that he just doesn't have it in his tank, rather than try to roll the dice in a game against Southampton, for instance? Just make the rotation. Just utilize your depth. But because you're not doing so, thus we have a situation where it's something that I don't want to see again next year. That's what we're trying to get across. Those are two things. Those are two very important points. I think that if this,
but that was.
Go ahead.
No, but that was my point. I was saying, if, like, I'm after putting all this behind, I didn't really. I know people have the hump about him not playing certain players that they like and all that, but that's water under the bridge now. So what I'm saying is, if that's going to be a thing, when you were asking what my first of the three things that we can do next year to be better is putting this in a position where we have players that he will bring in and rotate more and change more. So we all know we ran out of legs. Yeah, we all saw it happen. I'm sure he saw it happen. So that's what all the point I'm trying to make is, and the comments I was making with Pops kind of got mixed up. He was replying to one and I was replying to another. But the point I was making about players being good, it was just specifically to what JK said about Ian Rush and Dalglish. I mean, people like that, they played every week because they were top players. And I'm just saying, if that is an issue where he only going to trust 13, 14 players, we don't want to have that scenario again next season. So that was something that I would think that we can improve on next season is by, like I said, it's all going to come down to recruitment, is having 2 or 3 more that if he doesn't fancy, he doesn't, like I was saying, the trust word was one that I was railing against to start. Trust, rate, blah, blah, blah. There's no point having him there. So bring in players that he will trust to bring in. And so
we can get the right players in the summer. We can have a great season again next season. I'm sure of that. Like, if we can make the right signings, we could go all the way again next season. But we've got to make the right signings. I just hope that by the time it comes around, like the summer, they've identified the players that can improve us. Because they must be out there. There's always players out there. It's up to them to identify them, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just I don't want to see us in a position where people are going, well, why didn't he play this guy? Why didn't he play that guy? Why didn't he play this guy? And
I don't get that.
stupidly said, like, oh, okay, maybe I brought up he doesn't trust this guy, but we've been down that road a million times. If what he needs to not end up in a scenario like that again, where he plays Grav every minute, he plays Dom every minute, he plays such and such, is to allow him to bring in some players that he does feel can fill those roles. Because if we have players on our squad that he doesn't think can fill those roles, whether he's right or wrong.
But he said that these players are good players. He
Yeah,
says
of course. They're all.
Well, but he says that he trusts them, though.
Yeah, I mean, but just because, look, okay, he said it out loud. He's not going to come out and say, those guys, I'm not going to play them. They're shit. He's not going to come out and say that.
If he didn't, if
I
he
know,
doesn't,
I don't
if
go
he
into
if he didn't believe
I thought it was more of an overarching. I thought it was more of well, okay, but we're just getting into him answering questions. I just meant my main number one thing about what we can. I've gotten like everybody's pissed off me now because they're like, yeah, but what about Endo? What about Elliot? If he doesn't rate these players, he isn't going to use them, rightly or wrongly, out of his opinions, then maybe we should do something where we don't, without getting into names. It's just about bringing us to a position where he will use these players. He will bring in players and he will use them. I don't know if he will. I'm not saying he could do slot stuff again next year and play 90% of the same guys in the first 20 games. I don't know. But if you just asked me for something that I thought we could do better next year, and that to me was the first thing that I thought was taking a bit of pressure off the lads. And if he needs to do that by bringing in a couple of different people, and then it went down to he doesn't trust this guy road. But I mean,
I disagree with what you're saying, but you can go ahead and finish it. I don't think that it's not as that simple. I think what we're trying to do is what I'm doing or what JK has done, or Lee hasn't been doing it, but I know myself. I'll speak for myself only then. But what I am doing by bringing up certain circumstances is because people ask for context. I'm bringing context as to why I would even say we need to rely a little bit more on depth rotation and depth management and squad rotation. The depth management squad rotation this year has been suspect in the sense of we've been fortunate that his ability to properly maintain people's health and avoid injuries and the likes and the new processes that they have, because they do have some new processes, whether it's the way that the amount of downtime they have after a game, or it could be as simple as the fact that they sleep at home the day before a game rather than sleep in a hotel the game before. Whatever the case is, I can understand that they've done certain steps towards figuring out a way to try to keep these players a little bit more fit and ready to be able to be called on. But the fact is, I've seen people say, "Oh, well, our squad depth is questionable, or our squad depth is this or that," and I'm like, "Well, you can say that maybe if we actually utilized our squad depth. You can't tell me our squad depth is suspect if we don't use something. At least
Can I try and explain myself better then? Because I'm
show an
saying
example."
exactly what you guys are saying. I'm saying exactly the same thing you guys are saying.
Mhm.
I'm saying we need better rotation. We need better squad depth next year.
Okay.
That's all. I'm not saying like just didn't want to get into an argument. Well, he should have used Elliott. He should have used Endo. I'm just saying, yeah, he probably should have, but that's just by the by now.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't really see the point in going over Southampton, Endo, Elliott. I'm just saying that wasn't good. We're all agreed that that didn't work. So
Uh-huh.
one thing that we could do next year is be in a position where we're not having to do that. So whether that's about new players, I don't know, but I'm just saying we can't keep doing what he was doing, which is what I think everybody is saying. I'm not arguing about whether he likes Endo or likes Elliott or likes Nunes or likes Simicas. Or fine, if you're not going to use him, you're not going to use him. You know, the squad depth is the squad is there to be used. Yeah, so use it. So if you're not going to use it for reason A, then change that. You know, if he's not going to change his mind about these different players, then bring in players that. I mean,
see, so what I'm saying too, though, is I think that works maybe in Holland. It does not work in the Premier League.
Be easier in Holland, like to have.
I'm not disputing the fact that I love the fact that he's on the verge of winning us a Premier League. That's fantastic. But I don't want to have it where, because of his settings that seem to be more set towards, success in Holland. I don't want to see that happen to be like, yes, we win a title, or maybe we go and win an FA Cup next year and we don't win anything else because we're under this, I'm going to just utilize 14 players mentality. You got to expand that to a bigger mentality, especially when you have a team that is capable of playing more players than you do.
Hopefully, the way our last two results went before the break was a chastening enough experience for him that he won't repeat it next season by overplaying players. Surely he'll learn from this, like, won't he? And probably, he will, won't he? You know what I mean? Of course, that's what they do. They learn from the mistakes, don't they?
Yeah.
And he'll know that. I mean, he did come out and say, like we mentioned before, didn't he? Oh, we shouldn't have started Szoboszlai in this game. And Gravenberch's the same. Like, he shouldn't have started him, should he? But, he's just not got trust, has he? I mean, it speaks volumes about the futures of the players he's hardly used. The few minutes they've got sort of tells you what his plans are for them in the future, unfortunately.
Oh, wait, we got a surprise. Surprise. Mr. Lanate
I know, I think I'm being set up here to be shot down, that's all.
Huh?
You guys are I just think you guys are misunderstanding what I'm saying on purpose.
I'm not
saying that.
On purpose.
Yeah, I mean, you've all just decided I'm against you now. I've been trying to agree with you all night. I've been trying to agree with you all night, and you just keep saying no. So I thought we were talking about what can we do next year better, as opposed to what did he do wrong last year. We all know what's gone wrong. And I'm just saying,
how do you get to what you need to do better next year if you don't talk about what you didn't do properly?
Yeah, but
exactly.
Yeah, but no, what I'm saying is I think that point's been well made. What I'm saying is he didn't do that well this year. We know what he didn't do well. So that's something that he can go on and change. Like, it's become a player thing now. So and also the 14-man thing, as I said, right, he never said that. He just said he doesn't want a massive squad. That's all he said. He doesn't want a massive squad because he can't keep everyone happy, and that brings down the thing. So he didn't say
it makes perfect sense, doesn't it? I mean, there are clubs with huge squads, aren't there? Naming no
Yeah, he's
names.
talking about Chelsea and the
Yeah.
likes of that. He's just saying, look what happens there. They've got 10 people on the bench. He said, I prefer a tighter unit. And yeah, I think you should give him. That's all I was saying. Is like give the guy the opportunity
Yeah, the
to put
benefit
his
of the
stamp on
doubt,
the
right?
squad, and then
Yeah.
see
Yeah.
how many he uses.
But
Then
that's
see if
risky because for me, he's done his own way this season himself. So he's played the regular 11. You know his first 11: Jota, Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, McAllister, Diaz, Salah, and then the defense. And then what he's done, he's sort of used all them guys because like Gravenberch and Van Dijk have played every minute of the Premier League, you know. So he's gave
yeah.
these guys the games to show that. And what happened
I know you
was
said it, but
Elliot and Darwin came in the PSG away game as subs and got us a 1-0 lead going into the second leg. That is for me squad sort of rotation, squad
Yeah,
using your squad that's available. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of
Yeah,
cooks in the kitchen. You're a cook as well, Chef Brian. Sometimes so adamant about the way they want their dish to taste, they won't use a certain ingredient that's next to them that they could use, for example. You know, it's like cooking football is sometimes. And I think Slot, he knows himself. He made a big blunder in that week. Hence why, for me, next season, he's got to realize who these guys are, who's training with every day. He's had a long
Yeah.
season with these guys, bro. It ain't like, for me, they've all come in and all did a job at the same time. Endo, every time he's come on, he came on and did a job. So I don't want to listen to this. Oh, he don't trust him. He don't do this bullshit. He's just stubborn.
That's where I'm getting at. What I'm saying.
He's stubborn, and he thought himself that these guys are capable of beating PSG and Newcastle and Southampton in 1 week by playing the same team every 3 games. And that for me is stubbornness. But I don't want to hear about he's got to learn. Bullshit. He needs to realise that English football is totally different to Dutch football. We play 4 cups here. They guys play 2, maybe 3 if they're in Europe. Bigger, it's just more pressure. There's more everything here. And for me, he needs a squad that he is happy with, and then he can't say, "Oh, I don't want to play Darwin. I don't want to play Elliot." And them 2 guys got us a goal in Paris. So for me, that's his own. It was his own. It was his fault that week for me. I'm not blaming anyone else.
Maybe even the fact that when those players come in and perform well, he just doesn't want to have the headache of having some reason to go away from his normal standards. But I definitely disagree. I disagree. Slot did say that first off. Brian, the quote was in a press conference. Slot reportedly said, "Because we mainly start with 13 or 14 players." That's what he said. He says he plays with 13 or 14 players. They have shared most of the playing time. That's what he says. That's what he constituted it. The ones that haven't played a lot of it is because they haven't played a lot. It's very useful for them to have 90 minutes because if we don't get into injury problems, these players will have a bit of game rhythm as well. So, like, I understand that builds upon emphasize the importance of game rhythm and long-term squad depth or health. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also said that he prefers. He's like, we mainly start 13. We're going to mainly start 13 to 14 different players. That's
right. I'm going to call Arnie Slot his new name, Biggie Smalls. More
Biggie
players,
Smalls.
more problems.
Yeah.
More players, more
players.
There you go.
Oh, bless up the Nancy, bro.
He did so. He said that. I say, that's what we have been using.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He said we have been using 13 or 14.
No, he
That's
says
different.
I said the exact quote because we mainly start 13 or 14 players.
Yeah, so he's talking about that's what they had been doing. What I'm saying, he didn't come in at the starts and say, I only want to use 14 players, 13, 14 players.
I don't think anyone asked him that question, but I mean,
but he was making the point that we've only been using a tight squad.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what he was talking about at that time in context. So I just think we're going to see the whole thing, to get shot down. Oh, he has Klopp's team, blah blah blah. They're not his players, blah blah blah. So I just think it's not as black and white. I just think there's gray areas in between, and I just don't know if a team that he's built up himself. And of course, I think I wouldn't be slagging him. I think he knows English football is different than Dutch football.
But
You
it's
know,
something that he's carried over, though. That's the key part. He's carried that over from Feyenoord.
yeah, it's one of his.
That was part of his philosophy, was to carry a
Yeah,
13, 14 squad, 14 player
Well,
as type.
It's
The no-
easier
I
to
just-
control, if you understand what I mean. Lesser players, easier to control. You didn't have to worry about the other 9 of them. You know, if you had a 23-man squad, what they're doing, are they miserable? They're not starting on Saturday. Them sort of antics. So he's thinking in his head, the smaller the shift, lesser problems for me. But for me, football comes with a lot of pressure and injuries, red cards, and this is England. Hence why he might say, you know what, I need 17, 18 now after this season, maybe. You know what I mean?
That's all I'm saying, dude. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying he has to use 14. He'll always use 14. All I'm saying is he might have extra 3 or 4 players next season that will get more game time if he has a few more things that he wants.
So you're
to
saying So you're saying that he'll expand that to 18 players if he gets.
No, I didn't say that. I just trying to keep on track with my original point was that we didn't rotate enough, which me and Nolante was arguing about, or not arguing about, debating that, and I've come on here said plenty of times that I was wrong about that. So I've been trying to say, what can we do next year? What will we do next year to help us improve? We've all been talking about him needing to rotate more. So my point that I was trying to make is, if we bring in a few more people that he does feel can do those jobs, as opposed to players that he doesn't feel can do those jobs, whether that's people agree with him or not, right or wrong or not, I think that will be one of the things that will help us win more silver next season.
That makes no sense. Yeah, okay. I get what you're saying.
Why does that make no sense?
No, I mean, to me, it's
That's
funny.
the first thing I've said since day one.
Oh man, now you're not hearing what I was saying.
Since minute 1 tonight.
All I was trying to get, why I was responding the way I did, is because those same players that he quote unquote doesn't trust have been the reasons why we've won those games.
You know what I mean? Exactly.
Which game?
Like, it'd be one thing if they came and crap the bed and it was like, okay, yeah, we get it, they suck, or they're just not up to the measure. But it's been those people, those players that have come in and at times either held it down or rescued us.
Certain games where they've just come in, did a little job.
Okay, look, if you're going to laugh at what I'm saying,
Ian's put in the chat that it's a Ronnie this season.
I never said he didn't play them.
Mate. It's his first season.
He's come in and played them. Endo's gotten minutes. These guys and they've done their jobs when they've come on. What people are talking about is people starting games.
Yeah, okay.
People talking about Grav not having to start. I don't see the difficulty in understanding it.
Okay.
I never said Elliot didn't contribute when he came in. Never said Nunes didn't contribute in Brentford. Never said people. I just said people are saying, why won't he start these guys? Why won't he rest these people? Okay.
Okay, so maybe
you're in a position where he will rotate more. If he's not going to rotate the squad he has now,
right?
Then put him in a position where he will rotate. Then we won't have these problems and we won't have these debates about why is Grav playing 1,000 minutes. If he brings in 4 players next season and he still plays the same 11 or 12 every week, that's different. Then that would be an issue. I was just trying to hypothetically talk where the question was, what can we do next season?
Right.
So
how drastically
squad rotation.
We need to change the squad in the summer. I'm of the opinion that we need 5 new players at the least, at the bare minimum. We need 5 new players, I think.
But when you look at the bigger picture,
and then after JK, after you say your point, let's get
a lot at one time.
Let's get Nolante into the conversation.
I'll blame Nolante anyway, because he's the guy who said we should rotate a long time ago. So I blessed him up, bro. Go on, Nolante, bro.
Troublemaker, Nolante.
Oh,
You
well,
staying
good
facts?
evening to you two, too.
I
Thank you,
know.
mate. Listen, Brian's trying to make a point. God damn it. He's trying to make a point.
I know.
But yeah, evening boys, big out of the chat. No, it's not trouble. I'm just being real. I just tell it how it is. I don't sugarcoat anything. And if I'm looking, I'm saying there's a comment here, and I'm going to address that. And it's not a bad comment. Don't get me wrong. I'm just going to address that. Like Red Armchair, the title's not good enough by the fans. Which fans are these? Who's demanding? Who's saying it's not good enough? No, of course. Listen, I've said it. Look, look. Brian, JK, the guy will chat to death. Like Brian said, with disagreement, it was wrong. So it is what it is. Look, at the end of the day, yeah, I'm still disappointed. Now I'm not gonna go beat around the bush. I thought it was arrogance on Slot's behalf. But look, when we win the title, yeah, of course. Who in this chat, who is not gonna celebrate it? We're all gonna celebrate it.
Exactly.
Everyone in this is gonna celebrate. Ain't no, yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to be understand as a fan, there's context to everything, and you can't just sit here and say you're Arnie cool, but you ain't done nothing wrong, of course. And that's what we're here as a fan base to discuss. You know what I mean? Like I said,
Right.
and I know before we quickly, I know that because I missed the whole generation of this conversation about what we need next season. I'm assuming that, and then I've been deemed a troublemaker because I'm stirring up stuff. I just came to listen. I had the earphones on, man. Listen, I'm listening to some Nas. Like, I love this feeling. I'm listening to some Nas. I love getting attacked.
There you
But
go.
anyway,
Yeah. Mhm.
but look, all I say is this.
Somebody
Look,
made you
what
they shooting, they made you look.
exactly?
Look, yeah.
As if to reach to my rhyme book. Yeah,
Yeah,
one of
there
my
you go.
tunes. Yeah, but Aztec camera, as me and Brian knows, one of my tunes as well. Look, all I say is that the Slot is the fan. It's all and well like putting appearances, but at the end of the day, you can't sit. And again, it's prerogative. You can't sit Endo in the front of a press conference, going acting like he's gonna play, and he don't play. Like Endo, yeah, has done bits and bobs and jobs, but he hasn't started the game. What? And that's my whole point. And that is the annoying arrogance of Slot. Like Newcastle, like I don't like the Carabao Cup is the least of my priorities. I love FA Cup, but when you get to a final, you want to win it. So the arrogance of playing the same 11 when there's players that forget whether he rates them or whether you want them or not. I can tell you, Pep, Josie, all the top managers in this world have had teams players that end of the season, end of the summer, I don't want you, but you come in and do your job because you've got to use the squads. It's not a like complex thing. It's just simple. In fact, it's just a simple situation. You know what I mean? All I said is play Endo, play this person 2-3 games, and then who knows? Doesn't mean guaranteeing, but I'll say this: at least we win one out of those 2 games out of PSG and Newcastle, and then we move. But he hasn't, and that was arrogance, and we can call it what it is. It is arrogance.
Right.
It really is arrogance. But
When you look at the amount of minutes he's got, it was strange and somewhat paradoxical when he come out and said how good Endo was and how pleased he was to have him, what a great professional he was. So you thought, this might signal that he gets more game time, but it just didn't, did it?
No, the part and point of why, or at least I wasn't laughing at you particularly, Brian, or anything like that. And if that's the way you took it, I apologize. Reason why I did respond the way I did was because again, you can look at I'm just bringing up context. We can look at the game in PSG. We played a pretty poor game. Arnie Slot came out and said, no, that was not we weren't supposed to be doing this rope-a-dope style approach to it. He had a game plan and it didn't work. But it's the fact that he brought in Darwin Nunez, he brought in Elliott, and that was we only had one shot or 2 shots technically, but 1 shot on goal, and that was the result of Darwin Nunez, 2 of the players that he brought in. The very next game, and when they were involved, and especially Darwin Nunez was involved in that front line, you saw a difference. We had a game in the middle that we could have rested players, and if you wanted to go with that approach, fine. But yet, at least rest those players so that when you go up against PSG that next time, they have the legs to get through an entire game, possibly an extra time, possibly even a penalty shootout. But he didn't decide to do that. He decided to go and play who he played. Then he went and played the exact same lineup that didn't perform well against PSG. I'm trying to get across that I saw players perform decently. I get that this coach doesn't want to go outside of his box or out of his comfort zone with some players, but he's given players praise. He sat people, as Nolante just mentioned, in front of press conferences as if they're going to play, which is normally what you expect when you see someone in front of sitting at the press table speaking before a game. And yet he goes to his tried and trusted. And I was just saying that we've been fortunate that it's worked out for the best. And that's great, all well and good. And I'm appreciative of the fact that we've got a title. I'm not complaining about the fact that we got a title. If anything, I'm applauding that we got a title. Because of his presence and his approach, we've gotten to such an enormous lead, and we've gotten to the point where we have. But I don't want to necessarily test that measure again next year without proper management of what we have to do to get through an entire year and also compete for more than just one title. That's what I was trying to get across. And seeing that I've seen players that he quote unquote doesn't trust perform well in games or have to come and rescue us at times. I'm just saying, hey, I'd like to see you dive into that uncomfortability of mixing it up a little bit. That's what I think I was trying to get at.
If we buy the right players in the summer and enough of them, I'm confident that we can have a great season next season. It's just we've got to do that. We've got to go out and, like I said, identify who they are. But yeah, I think we can have an excellent season next season if we buy the right players. I don't think it's too much to ask that to be able to find players, because they've had long enough now. They've had their feet back under the table long enough. Well, Edwards has. And Hughes has been here long enough now. They must be doing their thing somewhere. They must be looking at players somewhere, surely.
I know, Brian. I know. I see that. I mean, I think you're making. You can say your comments. You don't have to just put them in the chat. You can say your comment.
No, that's what I'm saying. Most managers have the best squad. I just think we're overblown a little bit. You only want to use the same 11, and we're both making the same point. I just think I made the mistake of saying if he doesn't trust X, Y, Z player, if he's not going to rotate the squad that he has, then next year will be better if he does rotate. And if that means bringing in a few players, that's literally it. He should be changed. If the question is, should he trust Elliott, Nunes, Endo, and Jones more next season? I don't know if they're going to be here.
I just don't think most. Yeah, go finish story.
So it's just that I'm just saying most managers they'll know who their best team is. Like I said, if you're playing a Champions League final tomorrow against Real Madrid and everybody is fit, most managers will have a preferred 11, a preferred 12. Do other managers rotate more? Yes. But it was just a side comment that I think most managers, if you ask them, they'll put 11 out on the pitch and that's my best 11. I don't think that's just a slot thing. You can rotate more in the other games to allow you to get that best 11 out every other in the big games. Yeah, so it just all comes back to the same thing. If the reason, maybe it's okay, maybe it's a different thing. The point I'm making is, if he rotates more, a little bit more, freshens up the squad more, if that's purely a squad thing in terms of the personnel, then you can fix that. You can change that by bringing in some players. But, which is the point I've also been trying to make, if he doesn't do that, regardless of having players that he wanted, then that's a problem. If he's just going
to, we've won the league at a canter, haven't we? We've won the league ages before its end this season. So I trust that what's going to happen next season will be equally stupefying. for us and rival fans. I think we're going to have a good summer.
I don't, but yeah.
I think
I last part point what I was going to say. I get what you're saying. Most managers have a best 11. I know I saw Pops agree with you. I get what you're saying. I don't think that he has a best 11 that he agrees on, because obviously he had
11 is a catch-all.
His 11 initially included Kwanzaa. But I mean,
Yeah.
like,
I was speaking generally. I was speaking generally when I said 11, 12. They have their it's when we spoke about. I've always spoken about this before, and the example I use is if you're playing Real Madrid tomorrow in a cup final, most managers will go him, and him.
Maybe.
Of course, I mean, might be one or two, but it's. I mean,
right.
Is that new?
I think what is new is that I would just push back to say most managers might have a 11 best 11 or 12. I'm not going to contest that, but I would say that not most managers are competing in 4 competitions the way that we are. Not most managers are competing at the top level of the competitions that we are, and not most managers have to thus navigate being in not only the Premier League, but also being in these other competitions. So therefore, you have to figure out, even though you have a best 11, that best 11 isn't going to be able to play 4 competitions. So therefore, you're going to have to figure out how to rotate in a squad so that those 11, when you need to go up against your Real Madrid, when you need to go up against your PSGs, well, technically, I guess I took it as a different thing.
No, that's what I just said. I said, and you need to be in a position where if you do have that cup final, all those boys are ready.
Are already,
right?
Yeah.
So that you'll have changed, you'll have rotated along the way, you'll have made bits and pieces, a few changes.
Yeah.
But if it comes down to that one game, all the other games in the season are done and dusted.
Right.
It's the final game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have that's my team kind of thing. But yes, you do need, and I said that a minute ago, that you need to be in a position, rotate a bit more, change a bit more, so that when you get to that game, you're in that position.
You're in that game, right? You got a squad that's
so you have your fit
and ready. Yeah, exactly.
So use your bits and pieces, and that's why I said if next season he has 3 or 4 of his own players and he's still playing Grav 90 minutes every game, he's still playing, then that is a problem.
Okay. I see K-Max in the house dropping F-bombs, but I got you. All right. I was going to bring up, since we're about coming up on the 90th minute, I'm going to bring up this last point that was the third thing I thought was important to assure us that we could possibly contend and hopefully bring home silverware, multiple silverware possibly. And that was set piece efficiency. I think I had that as like my silver medal winner, as in the second most important thing. But because we got we got into the whole squad management, I figured we just keep on going with the speaking on with the flow of the show. But the set piece efficiency is something I wanted to say, and that's like, I guess that's, I don't even know if that's an elephant in the room, because set pieces are not our strong piece or strong set. And I get that set pieces in general aren't a high success rate when it comes to efficiency. But Liverpool at the time that I had even thought about bringing this thing up, I think we scored 4 goals all season this year from set pieces. That's a newsflash. That's second worst in the league. We have players that are quote unquote the best in aerial duels and the best in the air and the likes. We have even shorter players, our short kings, that are good at getting their head on set pieces. but that's something I think we all wouldn't expect from a title challenger, and that's what we have.
Now, early this season, before Rodri got injured, it looked like the old putting a man on the keeper might have been one of the key factors in winning the league, didn't it, for
Right.
City? Remember that rubbish when they done it on Wolves, and Jose Sarr and Stone said after the match, special team, special club. It's like, fuck off, you are special, like, but not in a good way.
I just think that there are some. I don't think we went into the year with a set piece coach. I don't even know if we have one now, to be honest with you. I definitely think that there are some flaws to the set piece that we do. Thus, why we've seen a lot more short corners start to be implemented into the game plans. We've gotten goals from some very ingenuitive approaches to putting set pieces together. Obviously, the most notable one was the one that Dominic got the assist on. But whether it's defending set pieces, which I think we have improved somewhat on, but all the same, it's especially set piece efficiency that I think we need to improve on. I think one thing. Let me finish.
Generally, we've been good in defense, but some bad free kicks this season.
Right,
ones we've let in. Last season was a piss take, though. The end of last season, our defense was terrible, wasn't it? Like it didn't look like us. And this season's been better, but still, some of the free kicks coming into our box, we've got to do better next season.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to finish the saying, then I'm going to open up to the panel, is it's not uncommon to see Trent Alexander-Arnold or Robbo taking our corners, for instance, but now McAllister has somewhat taken over that role. There was every once in a while Dominic was taking that role too, but McAllister has more so taken the mantle of taking those set pieces. And I will admit that we have seen better deliveries from McAllister, I think personally, now that he's taken over those set pieces. That wasn't always the case. This isn't a knock on Robbo or Trent in the sense of they used to be incredibly sufficient or efficient at getting the balls, getting those crosses in. But I just don't know. Like sometimes when you see whether it's offensively or even defensively, we have to get better. Because like what made me angry, for instance, is I get that zonal marking is a thing, and I get zonal marking is something that a lot of teams rely on. But if you're seeing the fact that you're getting outmanned and outmaneuvered, I don't want to see McAllister marking Dan Burn. I just don't want to see that. And if it means taking the being able to override something that obviously the coach has said, this is where we're going to play set pieces, so this is how we're going to defend against set pieces. That's all well and good and everything else, but we still need to bring it in with we still need to bring in something more efficient, I guess you could say, because offensive corners and free kicks often fizzle out without any real threat. Last summer's failure to secure, a set piece specialist, and that was supposed to be Etienne Renan, I believe his name was, has left the task with Aaron Briggs, who's doing what he can, but I don't think it's enough, to say the least, with margins so tight in the title race or in a preferable situation next year where we'll be hopefully contending against for a title. We don't have to become set piece FC like a certain team in London.
Well, it's weird. We've been champions elect for the last
set piece FC.
But we can all see it can get better next season. So, to win the title, it's early the way we are. We can all see if we get better for next season. So all it takes is getting it right in the summer, which hopefully will happen. It'd have to be a monumental blunder if they got it wrong, the type of transfer window where we bought like Mickey Lambert and Markovic and Balotelli all at the same time. You know what I mean? We've got to get it right in the summer and buy the right players.
Well, if our set pieces have gone from 2022 11 goals, 2023 12 goals, to 2024 4 goals, which I just said earlier is second worst in the league. I'm not saying that. Again, I know the efficiency on set pieces when it comes to, especially when it comes to corners, is very low. It's not very low, but all the same, that could make it a difference. That difference could be the difference in us winning or possibly losing a game.
Yeah,
And
we've looked poor in defence a few times against non-heavy opponents, which is worrying. Like that Southampton game when we came back from the international break. I mean, the Southampton team's tired, like, but I mean, he scored 2 goals against us, didn't he, in that game? We only just got 1.
yeah, K-Mac provided you those numbers, Brian, that you're asking for, I think.
Yeah, I know. That'd make the average 10. On basic, on simple math, that would make that'd be, if you add in errors, I know that's an extra thing. But yeah, 8. Yeah, it is very low, even by the whole, like you said. I mean, not many people score
Not
a
many
high
people score,
percentage of
yeah,
their
on
goals,
corners. Yeah.
but we are probably 50% off what we would need to be. 4 is very low. Mind, look, there's still 9 games to go, so I could imagine we probably get up around the 6 mark. But yeah, it is. Someone mentioned it. Yeah, Ian was saying, yep, delivery this season from set pieces has been woeful in the main. I don't think we take bad corners. I think a lot of our corners are pretty decent corners. I don't think, we don't hit the first man very. Just watching it, I've never thought, oh, we take.
Outside the box, though, that are put in for a potential header could be better. We never really score from them, whereas other teams do. It's rare that we put a free kick in from either wing and score with a header.
Go ahead, Brian. Finish your point.
No. And he says, and also you do have to, like, some teams will, Everton, Palace, like, they will focus a bit more on set pieces. But yeah, no, that number needs to go up.
Yeah.
Definitely. I just think I don't think it's a delivery quality. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm looking at that's a good corner. And
Could I
like
ask you
you
maybe a
said,
devil's advocate question then? Do you think maybe the reason why we don't focus on our corners as much as other teams, as maybe like an Everton,
the lower teams,
the lower end teams, because those lower end teams realize the fact that they're not going to probably get that many attempts and attacks on goals, so therefore they have to really emphasize and focus on their corners. But there was something else though.
No, just quick to answer that before you will hear a lot of players, they go, geez, I joined, Club X, and I've never spent so much time working on set pieces. That coach, man, he used to have us doing set pieces. Whereas other coaches, we used to do a half an hour a week on corners, but the rest was build up play. The rest was this, and then we do a few bits and pieces on corners. So yeah, the lower teams, the ones that know we might only get 1 or 2 chances in a game, we have to make our set pieces pay.
City's goal on the field last year was a piece of shit, wasn't it, boy? Remember that one from the corner?
No.
City's goal at Anfield last year before it.
Oh, at Anfield, sorry, yeah. I thought you meant today, sorry.
It was that corner, wasn't it, where Ake was in the way and ended up in the net.
Yeah, they do those little routines, but they only do them once because they did that last week, so they won't do it again.
Well,
No,
it wasn't
we can
the
definitely
early
up that.
season with them before Rodri got injured. I thought, here's their new gimmick, here's Pep's new gimmick, because he'd done it a few times, right? And it got them the 3 points at Wolves. Then Rodri got injured, like, and it didn't matter anymore.
I'll tell you what is another reason why set pieces are one thing, but I also would even throw in there as a secondary thing is who was I think it's Brentford or Bournemouth. I think it's Brentford actually. I think it's Brentford that there is a statistic that they score a good percentage of their goals come from throw-ins. And what I mean by that is they see throw-ins as a glorified or another version of a set piece.
Vegard Hegem had a good long throw. I remember that about him. He wasn't bad. He got injured and that. He was quite good fullback, like getting forward and that.
It's one reason why I do. That's another thing also that we missed Joe Gomez on as well. Joe Gomez is excellent at throw-ins, by the way, too.
I think the long throw is a favoured tactic in the lands that Vegard Hegem comes from.
Okay. You can expand on that. What do you?
Norway, yeah, the direct football. Egil Olsen come over here and was Wimbledon manager, wasn't he, for a bit? We bought Leonardson, didn't we, from Wimbledon? He was shit for us. I never liked him from the get-go. Leonardson was poo. We were crap then, though, you know what I mean? Like, he scored like a handful of goals, but he wasn't a Liverpool player.
Okay. Jacopo scored a header from a corner earlier this season. Yeah, I'm not saying we haven't scored at all. Obviously, I said we scored 4 times. But
Tor Andre Flo was good. He was really good. Norwegian striker, Tor Andre Flo for Chelsea. But his brother, Jostein Flo, he was dog shit. He played for Sheffield United. He's the archetypal donkey, the infinite donkey. If you ever want to see a donkey, it was him. He was such a shit player.
Okay. All right. All right. Nilante, do you want to add anything to my suggestion that we improve on set pieces?
I enjoy Wout Weghorst because I like saying his name, Wout Weghorst or Weghorst. Wout Weghorst makes me laugh anyway. I like the name, but yeah, he was a gamble, wasn't he, for United last season? Wout Weghorst, that was a proper gamble for them, like wasn't it? On the old Wout.
Okay, thank you for that, Lee.
Did pay off a bit. He won something, didn't he? Didn't he beat? Yeah, he was involved, wasn't he, when he beat City in the cup final? Yeah, Wout.
Okay. We'll get a special that you can do for that individual player sometime soon. But Nilante, do you see where I'm coming from with the set that we do need to improve on set pieces? Is that not something maybe you can agree on that should be an emphasis of our improvement next year, especially? Obviously, this year is one thing, but next year especially.
Spot on, Toff. I fully agree with you, and came out with the stats there. I agree with
stats too, by the way.
Yeah. I agree with Brian. I think the corners, from what I've seen this season, they haven't been that bad. We at certain times we haven't finished our dinner. At times we've had near misses. I think obviously it's been interesting. Obviously for a while, Mac has been taking it more than Trent at times, which again maybe against Slot, maybe it's alternative things and see Robbo. But yeah, it's something we need to prove on that. And obviously defensively we've not been too bad, but like you said, you don't want a Mac on Dan Burn situation again, which people understand. But I think in context with that, with zonal marking, it's down to the players. If the manager can only do so much. It's down to the players, VVD, etc., the talkers, the leaders in the team to address to organise that.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed completely.
They're big enough and grown ass men to sort that out. If you see something, you go and change it quickly. But
that's what I was suggesting too. Yeah, when I said that, maybe it was the zonal marking was one thing, but if you're seeing that Newcastle is time after time and time again putting themselves in positions to have players marking them that are not going to be able to properly compete with them, then you got to step up and say, okay, you got to, I'm taking this guy, you go take this guy, do more of a man-to-man marking and go from there.
Yeah. So so it's just something on both aspects. I think we've got some good headers, not just VVD, we've got others. So we could just prove just getting more, just finishing our dinner, and obviously just like in terms of Sono, just to be aware. We know players will move about. Just be aware of our situation. Then, we should be better for next season. One thing I'll just say quickly, not to be a Debbie Downer, not to go on about, but in terms of the squad for next season, I think with Slot, in terms of in or out who he wants, I don't think you're going to see the best squad in his mold, in image, in terms of players until for another year or two, in my opinion, because there's be a lot of. I don't think it's going to change everything straight away next summer, but I think you're going to wait until about another year or so until we see the squad. What Slot wants it to be, his image, so to speak.
Okay. Brian, did you want to have another say on something?
JK hasn't said it. JK hasn't returned.
Yeah, JK.
Oh, bro. I'm like this when it comes to when you set piece, defend set pieces, for example. Zonal marking only works if you've got one eye on the player you're meant to be marking as well at the same time. If you're just zonal marking and got your hand in your pockets, if there was pocket on your shorts and you're just wondering what's going on here, then for me it ain't gonna work. That Newcastle
what is your preference then? What is your preference?
I like man marking, bro. I think man marking, you're looking after the weapon they can use against us in that man marking, you know what I mean? But if you're giving him zonal marking, you're giving that guy with that weapon to do some damage, bro. So I like man marking, always have been. And I think that's the old school way of doing it. The zonal marking only works if the players who are doing that zonal marking have got their eye on the player in that zone. If they're really half asleep, they're marking to air, bro. And I think that going against Newcastle, the way that header went in, crazy. Dan Burns, the tallest guy in the whole field, probably in the whole Wembley Stadium, yeah. And you got Alex McAllister on him. Like, I thought that was a comedy sketch, on Comedy Central or something. It just looked funny. And even the people I was watching it with, they're not really into football. They'll be like, yo, that looks a bit funny. Look how big he is and look how small McAllister is. That's people who don't really into football big time. They were telling me, yo, that looks funny, So I'm not sure what Slot was watching. And then what happens? He go and gets that goal in. So for me, the whole zonal marking and all this, it only works if all the players who are doing it have got one eye on the guy nearest to him.
Right. And then also, I understand exactly, and I agree with the zonal marking has its advantages or things that you can definitely that can provide fruitful, but at the same time, when it's man marking, it's just that. It's just it comes down to just don't get beat. Don't let your man beat you.
Simple. Yeah.
And it's there's a lot of the accountability is very easy to apply there. Your man scored, then it's most likely because you didn't do your job.
With man marking, you'll get a bit of pulling, a bit of elbows, a bit of like to put the guy off who's going to get that header. Like if you put your elbow into his stomach at the same time he's going to header it, and he goes header it over the bar, you've done your job.
Right.
But with zonal, it's a bit hard to get that close, that quick. So the guy's he can make a cup of tea, bro, read a book and header it in. Yeah.
Yeah, Pop saying you can zonal mark, but the players in the pitch still need to be engaged and can make tweaks in real time. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
If you don't
Quick
think I'm
time.
one of this, I mean, look, if you don't think that this part and piece that we're talking about right now, which is set pieces and throw-ins and the likes, aren't going to come into some type of a factor when we face a certain blue squad at Anfield, you're kidding yourself, because again, like we spoke on earlier, that is one thing that they, I think, certainly practice quite a bit on, which is their set
Yeah, I bet
pieces.
they're going to be slinging a lot of long balls into our box, aren't they, on Wednesday?
Yeah.
And the K-Max wrote the fact about how we've scored our goals. When you look at our goals, we've scored at 60-odd% in open play. Because why we're a footballing team, Man City have got 6 set piece goals this season. We've got 4. So why? Because both of these teams are football playing teams. What it is with teams like Forest, things like that, who are not great, but actually Forest are pretty good with the ball as well. But to use them type of weapons, like you're playing an FA Cup second league team or whatever, and they're going to use corner kicks, free kicks around the box to get a goal. So it's set pieces is used. I think Arsenal have done pretty well with it, but what happened with them is the guy who was setting it up, the set pieces, became a film star, bro, and
Right.
and he ain't done well since because everyone's clocked on. You got to be shady.
City, I don't know what's up with City. I agree with you. I don't know what's up with City.
Low.
But the fact that Arsenal, and we all know how Arsenal's good at their set pieces. Forest, we understand, would probably try to make that a strong point of their own. The fact that United has it, okay, that's interesting. But then you go and look at it, and you look at the other teams: Newcastle, Chelsea, Everton, Palace, even all have 10 goals from their set pieces this year.
Yeah, because they're not really great footballing teams like Liverpool and City have. That's what I reckon. So they've used that to their advantage.
Yeah, they have a higher dependence on it because they're not going to score.
Exactly.
We are.
I just don't know why. I get the dependency thing, but I also think of it as like Arsenal was in that group. Arsenal's a very good team.
Are they? Take the set pieces away, bro. They're rubbish.
Okay. That was you just said. All right.
Yeah. They're the old school Wimbledon, aren't they?
All right. That wasn't on purpose. That was not a softball. That wasn't a softball lob or anything like that. Alley-oop. All right. Well, is there anything else? Oh wait, here's it's not a question. Wait, that is. I don't know if that one's for. I think that's for the squad. I think we already missed that one. That was for squad, or was that for this one? There's a question on here. See if I can get some of these questions on. The question is, do we want it in his image or the image of the club? Do you know what that is referencing by any chance?
Talking about building the squad. Do you want to build, like when Elante was saying we won't see a slot team for 2 years to build in his image? Pops is replying, do we want to see it in Slot's image or do we want to see it in the club's image?
Do you have an answer for that?
Well, going back in the pre-season, everyone was saying to him, Arnie Slot's got no say in who comes in and goes. So this is what I mean. He makes me laugh. We've got to wait for Slot until he gets his players in. I thought last week everyone was saying he ain't got no bloody say in it. That's what I'm saying, man. The way football fans talk nonsense half the bloody time. They don't even know what's going on. They make speculation and things up in their own head. It's like, I thought Arnie Slot had no say in who we buy or sell. So what are we waiting for then? He ain't gonna get. So he's telling the guys who he likes in world football. He's got to be in the conversations they're having.
Yeah, 100%. I'm sorry, anyone who's got a brain cell, I'm sorry. How are you going to say that he doesn't have any say? What's the point of a manager then? Make it make sense. Come on, man. Make it make sense. The same thing with Chiesa. Everyone's saying, "Oh, he didn't buy him," but end of the day, the director, there's a transfer committee. They go up to him and they say, "Listen, this is the player. Do you like?" Even if he disagrees, they say, "Look, we think he can do a job." He will have the final say. Everyone knows the Mo Salah story. Klopp didn't. Salah was not his first choice. We all know you want Julian Brandt, and it's a transfer committee. They pushed him and said, "Look, go get Mo," and he has to give the
Luckily
okay.
so. Luckily so too.
Yeah. Luckily so. Yeah. Luckily so. Yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, hindsight's a wonderful thing now, but
Right.
so yeah, the manager. So I don't understand these people saying that these like
Not saying
JK
Julian
said.
Brandt is a bad player. Just saying.
No, he's a good player. He's a good player. He's just
He
not
is a
Mo
good
Salah
player. He's
level.
not Mo Salah. That's not.
Level. Yeah.
That's
But
not
yeah,
get it
agree.
twisted.
Yeah, but I agree with everything JK said. Sorry, JK, but yeah, facts.
This one was about our current conversation, which was who even scores? Verge is not good enough. Kanate hasn't scored in years, and the best is Mac, who is taking them. The best is Mac, who is putting them. Oh, so he's saying Verge and Kanate aren't good enough for providing us what we need on our set pieces or corners, and he's saying that's with the best player suited to taking the corner kicks. That's Alexander. And then Ian says, "Do we have the physicality in the team and current player profile? Virgil is good in the air. Kanate, Kwanzaa. Beyond that, anyone else who could chip in with corner goals?" Oh, and now that's why I get my Gomez.
I reckon Endo might be good in the air, but we just don't know because we don't see him there much.
Hey, Joe Gomez almost scored a corner, by the way. He did. He almost
For
scored a
me,
corner.
not enough. Look, when you look at Darwin and Gapco, both tall lads. I don't think have they scored a header this season.
Yeah,
I mean, Diaz has scored more.
He tries to be true to fight sometimes, doesn't he? And fluff it. He's a weird one with his head.
I think that they don't really do the. But I didn't mean apologies. Go ahead, Lee. Finish your story. Finish your sentence.
No, I think Darwin has got ability in the air, but some of the ones that he's missed for us in the last couple of seasons, you're like, fucking hell, how did you do that? Trying to be too precise, and put it right in the fucking corner instead of just beating the bastard goalkeeper. But yeah,
Virgil did score one this year. I'm trying to think if that was in the league or if that was in the actual
He scored 12 in the semi-final against Tottenham at Anfield. Yeah. I think he is on the bottom in the league. I think so.
But I would love to see the number of corners and free kicks.
That was a good corner, by the way. That was a well taken corner.
100%.
Maka and Maka behind it. I think it was the person I thought.
But the one to Salah, that one.
Oh. No, the one Virgil I'm speaking on, where it was like the one we were blowing them out. I think it was like the 4th or 5th goal in that game or something like that.
Yeah.
But do you reckon you need to have a look at the numbers of corners and free kicks won by each team as well? Because the amount of corners we've won and free kicks.
Oh, I know.
It's a lot.
Trust me, I know. That's why that was the silver. I mean, I know I'm speaking in the goal place spot of the show, but you're right. The number of corners that we get, I get that that's not something we focus on, but the fact that we get so many corners, hey, it might be just me, but we need to focus on it a little bit more. We're getting sometimes 10, 11 corners in a game.
Simple.
Yeah, we've got quite a lot of players who are good in the air, who've got good time and that, but we don't score enough, do we, from free kicks and corners? Or at least not this season anyway, and probably not for the last few seasons. If ever at all, we should score more, shouldn't we, from set pieces? I don't think we will next season. Because something will happen.
I reckon on Wednesday, bro. I'm hopefully we do it on Wednesday.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not hating on Hata. Hata has an incredible ability to get for someone his stature, his height, he's able to figure out where the right ability to get away from his player, the ability to have enough space to get underneath the ball, get in the right spots.
Yeah, he's one of the
Unfortunately,
best of his time, and with his headers, Jota's got that. Like, he's got the ability to time his jumps and that. Like, when he gets it right.
True,
yeah,
Brian.
yeah.
Best in the club for me as well. Yeah.
What's that?
Yeah. Jota, best header of
Firmino
the
was
ball.
like that as well, though. Some of Firmino's headers were outrageous. That one when we were away to Inter Milan in the Champions League, when he was like on the corner of the edge of the box, it put us 1-0 up. It was a glorious
Bobby was
goal.
good at headers. Yeah.
Yeah, I love good headers. I love good headers.
What do you like, in swinger or out swinger? That's a good question.
There was actually a statement. I had to find it. It's way up there, but K-Mac
I
made a
prefer
question.
in swingers. Like
Made a point about in swinging, our ability to defend in swinging. I think it was.
My favourite header I've ever seen for us was scored by Luis Garcia in the Champions League. I can't remember who we were playing, but if you can remember a Luis Garcia header from the edge of the box in the Champions League, the keeper was in a good position, but he just put it over him and into the side of the goal. It was just an outrageous header. I've never seen anything like it. It really was like mystifying, like how he managed to do it. It was 1 in a million, that header.
I see Suarez do one from outside the box at Anfield once. That's like
Yeah, I remember that game actually.
Yeah.
I think that was Cardiff.
That's
Okay.
what he said. We stopped in swingers in 2024, which got us good numbers in the past seasons. That's where he was contending. I thought he had a
Belgian team when fucking Garcia scored that ridiculous header that time, but it was a ridiculous header. It was just beautiful. Yeah, I've seen like long range headers that are just like straight out, but his was like at an angle. Like Firmino's one against Inter Milan, like they're the ones that I love the most. Like this thing of beauty, aren't they? Headers like that.
I'm bringing Crouchy back. He was good for Wednesday's game. He got 2 at Anfield last week.
You've been right there.
He was happy.
Oh yeah, I've got to give Andy Carroll that. Yeah, he did. He done that good. That was a good one from Andy Carroll. He was badly shit. Everyone knows that. Better from Andy Carroll. Forget that. That's how horrible I am to Andy Carroll. I forget that he done that good one against Everton that time. I even forget. But in that situation I am. I had to be reminded that he'd done that.
Dowie came on in that game in the friendly game against Chelsea. Injured 2 guys straight away when he came on the pitch. Too funny, man. It was too
funny. Someone's mic's underwater a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, the Suarez header from the alley to Sissoko cross was one, wasn't it? It was pretty straight, like one of the header straight into the corner. But it was fun. Yeah, I've seen loads of good headers, but I like them ones from an angle when they're on the edge of the box, like, and the forward manages, or any player, whatever player it is, manages to manipulate the angle like really gloriously. It just looks divine, doesn't it? Like when it goes in.
Yeah. I think it's Nalante's mic. It's all good. He's not in the bath. Don't worry. He's not in the bath. He might be outside or something, I think.
I'm not outside. I'm not even talking.
I know. For some reason, there's some.
Yeah, your mic is making weird noises. You can see your thing. You know. Your thing flashes.
Yeah. Like right there.
I'll just have to refresh again then.
Okay, no worries. But was jumping in. Duncan Ferguson was great at those thumping headers. as was Les Ferdinand. Yes, he was.
I think
Vegas
it was
used to bloody
more in the
useless in
old
the
days.
derbies.
In the old days, they used to use headers more. Why? Because wingers used to run, beat their
Mhm.
man, swing the ball in. Wingers used to
Mhm.
cross balls. They
Mhm.
don't do that anymore. Wingers
They
want to
don't.
fit in and score themselves. So there you go. That's why you're not
Yeah.
getting a
He's
lot
a
of header goals.
nuisance in the derbies till we got Sammy and Oncho. Babble.
You know, there's in certain not to make it depressing and all that, but there's reasons why now that it's going out of the game, especially at underage. They're
Because of yeah, I know you're going with
yeah,
this.
they're teaching kids not like they don't head the ball below a certain
Oh,
age anymore.
do you know
Mhm.
what?
So,
Them old balls, once they were carrying water, was so heavy. No wonder so many older players got dementia after the career was over.
yeah, no,
So
without wanting
old
to go down that.
balls, once they were carrying water, but like it was like heading a lead piece of lead or something. Like that, yeah. No wonder stuff like that happened. Even until like the
Yeah,
60s,
Lee.
they were
Lee.
dead heavy on balls.
Hey, hold
No,
up a second, buddy. Let Brian
Yeah.
finish his point.
no, I
Brian
was just trying to
finish
say it has been like when people talk about coaching, it is going out of the game. So
it
when
is. Yeah.
at a younger age, they don't want kids heading the ball. Um, so the idea of the guy going up for it's no surprise that I'm not saying that's happening right now in the Premier League, but you coaching and all that, they are
Mhm.
kind of trying to take that out of the game
Some leagues,
because
I
of the
don't. Some leagues don't even. You're not allowed to head at the ball or something like that.
under a certain age group.
A certain
If
age.
you were doing
Yeah.
schools, yeah, if you get to like on anything, I think it's I remember reading like under 11s and under 12s, they just don't want them heading the ball.
Right.
So you lose that kind of core
Yeah.
thing. But that may be a part. But the one I wanted to bring up was Ibu because I remember he scored a header for us in a
City.
big game against City, yeah, and he just walked into the box, shoved a few people out of the way, and just boom, put in the back of net. I think
Yeah.
that's the last goal he's ever scored for us. And I was
Yeah.
just look at how strong he is. Look at
Yeah.
how dominant he is.
Yeah.
He should be doing that more. He didn't jump. He
You
just,
think? Yeah.
why isn't he? And we shouldn't be putting it all on the centre halves either. The one I said about VBD, I think VBD always tries to get too perfect a contact on it.
Yeah. I understand what you're
And
saying. Yep. Yeah.
he gets it perfect contact. He always gets great contact, VBD.
Yeah.
But it's straight at the keeper, or he doesn't get those kind of half flicks that kind of go the opposite of where you meant him to go and they end up in the net. So I think it is becoming a dying art.
Hmm.
The Shearers, like the Ferdinands, the Duncan Fergusons, it
Hmm.
is a bit of a dying art. The big
There were
striker just
players who were
powered
literally
into his
that's
head.
all he
Yeah.
was their aerial ability. There used to be players like that they got all aerial ability, like forwards like that. They might have a little bit of ability with the ball,
Well,
like the game was all built around what they were like in the air.
Brian, was there that all? Did you have something else you wanted to say?
No, it's just that was really and Ian Mack is saying there, like remember Newcastle brought the winger Gillespie. Yeah, they just wingers 4-4-2, sling it in, and the big
How,
man will get his head on it. They just don't
how
play
about
football
how about
anymore.
how about this, Brian? I know it's an ode to yesteryear, but I mean, like, I'll tell you that if there is any of a remembrance of how great corners could be, when Crouch scored his goal in the Legends game, that was a really well taken goal, by the way, his header. And it's one of those cases, and he's one of the, he's actually, I think he has the most header goals, I think, in Premier League history, I think, or something like that. But and albeit I know he's a big guy, he's a big target and the likes. But it was just like, I don't know, I saw that goal and I was like, wow, that goal could have scored a goal in a Premier League game today, possibly, and it's just a remembrance of, like, you're right, maybe it's a dying art skill, or art style, or however you put it, that we have, and the fact that we don't see we we all talk about how You know,
No,
you
a
look
lot
at
of ex-players got dementia,
you-
like, and it was directly linked to them. Like Jeff Astle was one of the ones I remember that was quite recent. He was like in the 90s, Jeff Astle, but he was a player in the 60s, 70s, early 80s, and he had dementia from his heading exploits.
well, I don't think that
Supposedly.
I don't think I'm not talking. I don't think Peter Crouch has dementia, nor do I hope that he would ever. But what I was just trying to get across is that I also think that you're right. I would like to see Ibu be able to do what he did in that City game. It's almost to the point of where when against PSG when we had to use Kwanzaa, the one little silver lining I thought of that game was that we were going to see a player like we were going to have three tall targets to get under some of those corners that we're going to be taking. And now that we had Kwanzaa to be a part of that, and Kwanzaa did get two decent um, uh, shots on goal from corners, actually. So, unfortunately, he didn't score any of them, but I mean, still is that he made an effort and they were good, he made good connection with one or two of them.
He was a whisker away from scoring against PSG, wasn't he?
That's the one I'm talking about. Yeah. But yeah, Burge doesn't want to mess up his hair. Maybe that could be the case, Pops. But it's just one of those cases where I would like to see us be able to connect, and I think we have the personnel to do so. I don't understand. I don't want to see us keep doing these short corners. I can't stand short corners, to be honest with you. I don't know.
I'm for next season anyway. I hope we'll be better on all these things that we've chatted about tonight. I hope we'll be better on all these things next season. Defence, midfield, and attack, and even the goalie. I hope the goalie's better next season, and the manager. I hope the manager's even better next season than he was this season.
Okay,
which is the first and foremost thing, and then the others should fall in line.
Okay, all right. But I slightly forget my point now. What about Ibu? Yes, about Ibu and about. I was just going to say I agree with you. I'd like to see us use our physicality a little bit more. I noticed that Virgil is normally marked by a man-to-man marking. A lot of teams tend to do man-to-man marking, at least when it comes to the aerial threats that we have. But short corners is what I was saying. Thank you, Pops, by the way. I'm not a fan of short corners at all. I don't know if are you fans of short corners? I think they're kind of a waste.
Yeah, if it yields a goal, certainly.
Okay. that's
if not, then maybe put it into the box.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Are you guys
like
fans?
Variety.
Okay.
I just like variety. I think it's good when you do a couple of in-swingers or whatever, or you do whatever, and then they're all set up for what you've been doing, and boom, you play it short. But if it's like a team that they're going to play it short every single time, like Barcelona.
Remember when we used to do that for a while? We used to do that for a little while.
Yeah, it's definitely a couple of times this season we've caught teams out. I think it's twice, once on the left and once on the right. It's been good. Really enjoyed it. Hope to see more of it next season.
Okay, go ahead, Brian.
No, I was just saying I like a bit of variety. I don't know what the lads think on their preference on short corners. Belanto, JK.
I like a nice, good in-swinger centre back there. Bang. No funny business. Just straight there near the line. You know what I mean? All you do, one touch, and it's in the back of the net.
Oh, excuse me. Corner taken quick. Corner taken quickly wasn't a short corner though.
It was kind of a mixture of everything, wasn't it? It was a short-ish. It was a low corner. It was just a opportunism.
I think he just quickly he saw that they weren't set up and he just took it very quickly.
He was acting like he was going to do a short one. The way he was sort of before he gave the one to Origi, he was acting like he was going to do a short one, but quickly changed it around, and that's why I like Trent.
Yeah.
Top player, bro. Keep him here, man.
No, but you're right about that. Yeah. He was changing it around, and Pop says that too. It wasn't a quintessential corner either. I agree. They were mixing it up. I think that's the reason why I think Barcelona probably was like still in that, it's a corner. So we have time to set up. We'll have time to get our act together. And you just kind of get into that, frame of like, or that same routine and you can quickly set it up, which is what ended up being like that. Shaqiri was really good at corners too. I thought he had very good delivery. I agree with you on that, Ian. I definitely agree on that. And on top of that, you know what I do? I will admit as well. I don't mind seeing players like Shaqiri or Maka taking those corners, specifically because they're not aerial threats per se. They're not going to be a viable option in that attack anyway. So at least you're taking a player and getting the best out of them by putting him on the corner. Like for instance, I was kind of bewildered as to why Cody Hackbill was taking our corner one time. I'm like, Cody, you're one of the tallest guys out there. Get your ass and get your butt in the box.
No, Shaqiri's left foot was gilt-edged, wasn't it? The number of times that he either scored directly or gave an assist with it, like it's a great thing. His left foot wasn't it? Like one of the best left foots we've had in years.
Harry Kane taking corners to top.
A left foot that got Mourinho the sack at United.
Oops. Work right. Well, all right. Well, again, the 3 parting points that I said were squad rotation and depth management, which caused a little bit of an uproar. Set piece efficiency, which is what we just spoke on, and the last was our finishing in front of the net. Our finishing in the attack has to improve next year. Those are the 3 things I thought were important factors that need to be improved on. Pop says you just nailed the issue of Cody. He isn't physical enough. Needs to change that next season and throw his weight around a bit more. Ooh. Okay. Very true. He's gotten underneath some headers though. But I get what you're saying. It is different when you're dealing with corners. I get what you're saying. In that, when you're dealing with corners, there's a lot more clutching and grabbing. And you got to be, really have the physicality enough to be able to shed off those types of approaches to get yourself free for the ball. So, is there anything that you guys wanted to add? Any quick one? We can go
I don't think Arsenal are going to win a trophy this season.
All right. Sorry, there is a drive-by shade towards Arsenal. All right, I meant towards this subject that we're talking about. What? Big up, Ian. I think it's a good discussion, also a necessary discussion, because I definitely am going to be looking at those 3 main. I'm looking at those 3 key areas as being areas that I want to see improved upon. We can all say we had a great year. We can all say that we can all be appreciative of the year that we've had, but it doesn't mean that we can't say, "Hey, I'd like to see improvement here," or "I'd like to see improvement there." That's what we're just trying to say. We're just saying we can always get better. This team is far from perfect. We can always get better. So, yeah, I'm very happy to say we're going to win the league, especially when we are mathematically able to say that with even more certainty. But all the same, is there something else that you wanted to bring out though? Got a lot of
Do you
people in the
think
chat.
Arsenal will still definitely finish second, or do you reckon second's up for grab, like between them and Man City?
I don't think City's going to get second.
What it is, I'm still bearing the scars of the 88-89 thing, like when they won the title at Anfield on the last day.
I don't think we're going to win the league title on the last day, and I don't think that City is going to have. I don't think City will end
To
up
be
in
honest,
second.
it'd make me laugh if there was like a bit of a fight of it. If like we dropped a few points and give them a sniff for a bit, and then just won it like at the end. That will be. It'd probably do me. I don't know if it happened, but it would make me laugh. We give them a sniff and then took it away from them.
Is there anything from Nolante, JK, or Brian that you guys think? You can answer Lee's question if you want, or you can tell us if there's something else that there was that you think we can improve on.
I let the lads go because Nolante came in late. So.
Nolante, do you have something? Nolante's on mute. JK, do you have anything?
Well, bro, when you look at the world of football, it isn't just the players and the managers. Like the owners got to back the guy to do them moves to get us to where we want to be. So Slot can't just say I've only got 11 guys I really trust and stuff, you know. So if the owners are willing to bring in guys Slot wants or needs or whatever, then yeah. And then the rotation, it will all come into play then, you know what I mean? He ain't got an excuse then, for example. But for me, we've got a game Wednesday. Let's just go and win that.
It seems quite simple what we've got to do in the summer. It'll take staggering mismanagement to get it wrong.
Well, if he is involved or if he has any say in bringing in players next year, I think he certainly won't have the luxury of saying they're not his players to be trusted.
I hope we don't buy another great player who's a potential cripple like Jota. And Jota's such a good player, anyway, but his injury record, I hope we don't get anyone else like him. You never know, do you, with players? That can happen. You don't know when you buy them.
You realize he's here, right?
Yeah, I can see him behind you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. He's trying to show you love, man. He's saying that's the love symbol.
On him like this season because he's never fit.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind if he stays and we just buy one forward to replace Nunes and we have Jota. I wouldn't mind that, like, because I reckon he will do better next season. He'll have some fortune with his fitness for some unknown reason, like it'll just happen next season. And he'll do as usual. And get
so you think there's more? Do you think that there's more hope than Hata getting better physically and keeping his fitness? Then let me finish the question. Let me finish the question. You think that there's more hope in Hata having improved fitness availability next year than you do in the fact of, for instance, Nunes, who's the person you said you want to go, improving on his technique because he is available a lot more than Hata, obviously.
No, I'm a big Jota fan. Always been a big Jota fan. But I've just got pissed off this season with the non-fitness thing. I've reached my level with it. Like, he needs to fuck off somewhere else. and get a player who will be fit. But if he stays, as I said before, if he stays and he's more fit, I'll be glad as well. Like,
All right. I'm glad that you're being brave and bold to take a line, draw a line in the sand there.
Still like him if he's fit.
I got you. All right. JK is on mute. Nalante's on mute. Brian, is there anything you'd like to say to the people before we let them do their thing?
JK's off mute there now.
Okay.
No, bro, it looks like the guy from The Big Bang Theory. He owns a comic book shop.
Where is this
you know
going?
who I'm on about him. He
Yeah,
reminds
I
me
know
of
you're
him.
talking about.
Yeah, he reminds me of him, bro.
Wow. Okay. I'm glad you shared that with all of us. So, all right. Look, people, we're gonna let you guys do your things before we get into talking about any of I don't know where this is going. I know random. It's random. I know it's so random from both Lee and JK, but still okay. This time, Brian.
Fitness guru and like a mind guru like Brian Wilson had. That's what Jota needs to improve his prospects for next season.
All right. Lee didn't want to be outdone with the randomness. All right, I got you. So Lee, is there anything you want to say to people before we let them do their thing?
Don't give up hope on Diogo Jota. He is a good player when he's fit.
There you go. All right. JK, is there anything you want to say to the people? No? Yes, no? Tracy is Lee's guru. Yeah, that she is. Nalante, is there anything you'd like to say to the people? No? No? Yes, no? All right. Well, then, Brian, please do say what you'd like to say. JK and Nalante, I guess, are indisposed at the moment. Be able to say, take care to everyone.
Yeah, just Lee is saying he'd have shown up early if he'd known he was on. Yeah, it was a late one, man. Don't worry about that. It's Sunday night, isn't it? Sunday night, yeah. Mother's Day. It's Mother's Day over here, so if you haven't rung your mum, give her a call. And thanks everyone. But yeah, it is a late one, so we're nearly back on Wednesday night. So we'll have a few more shows of randomness and God knows what between now and then. So keep the notifications on. Yeah, keep the notifications on, Lee, and just keep an eye on the channel. Eugene Landy is the guy you were talking about, Lee, by the way. He's a total shyster. He ripped them off. He didn't do anything, he just ripped them off. Well, yeah, I mean, sorry, yeah, obviously, if mom is available to pick up the phone and you haven't rung her, then give her a ring. Pops, Red Archer, everybody. Yeah, I know it's a late night for people, or it's probably an early afternoon as well for Pops, these people. But yeah, quiz tomorrow night, so get your thinking caps on. Get ready for that one.
Make sure to pass that on to Norm and KJ and Bernie, so that you guys can have some of your ringers part of the team. And yeah, tomorrow will be quiz day, as Brian just said. And yeah, it's been a quick one for the internationals, I guess you could say. But it's one that did seem to take forever to get done. It's still, I mean, we still got to get all the way to the end of the week to get back to games, pretty much, to the bulk of the games at least. So, so we have a little bit of a ride left, but that ride's going to be an enjoyable one. So let's hopefully see you here tomorrow for the quiz. And until then, tomorrow, we wish everyone the best. Happy Mother's Day to all those out there that are mothers or have mothers. And I guess we all have mothers in one way or another, but also up the Reds, people, up the Reds. So we'll see you tomorrow. Take care and take care.